Developing now, new details have just been released in the deaths of a woman and two girls found dead in a northwest Bexar County home last week.
The three decedents are female. Two of them are pretty young, believed to be in their teens, and then the third is a woman believed to be in her 30s.
In January 2019, tragedy struck an upscale Bexar County community when 37-year-old Nichol Olsen and her daughters, Alexa, 16, and London, 10, were found dead in their Anaqua Springs ranch home. Deputies' body cam footage revealed a chilling scene of smeared blood and lifeless bodies, shocking the neighborhood. The case sparked years of controversy, suspicion, and debate over what truly happened inside the mansion. Don't forget to subscribe for more gripping true crime breakdowns. On the night of January 9th, 2019, Nichol Olsen was involved in a reported argument with her boyfriend Charles Wheeler, the owner of the home where the family had been living. According to Wheeler's statement to police, he left the residence after the altercation and spent the night at a relative's house. When all three, Nichol and her daughters, failed to answer calls and messages the following morning, Wheeler returned and made the chilling discovery of their bodies. Law enforcement arrived to find all three victims shot to death on the second floor of the home. The scene included extensive blood smears on floors and walls, as well as a small pool of blood near a bathroom doorway. The bodies were cold and rigid, signaling they had been deceased for some hours prior to discovery. Deputies found Wheeler distressed, but noted his tears were not clearly visible during initial contact. Officers also documented the placement of a firearm near Nichol's body, raising immediate questions about whether the scene truly aligned with a murder-suicide or pointed towards something far more complex and troubling. The Bexar County medical examiner ultimately classified the Anaqua Springs tragedy as a murder-suicide. According to the official ruling, both daughters, Alexa and London, were victims of homicide, while their mother, Nichol Olsen, was said to have died by suicide after allegedly shooting them. The report concluded that Nichol used a firearm inside the home before turning it on herself, a narrative that law enforcement initially supported as the most plausible explanation. Yet from the moment this ruling was released, it sparked a wave of criticism, disbelief, and anger. Family members, friends, and advocates argued that Nichol's character, behavior, and future plans were entirely inconsistent with such a violent act. Independent investigators also highlighted gaps in the evidence, raising doubts about whether all possibilities were thoroughly explored. For many, the ruling felt premature and incomplete, leaving lingering suspicion that the truth behind the deaths remains hidden. However, the official ruling, controversy looms large over the case. Friends, family members, and attorneys representing Olsen's family vehemently dispute the murder-suicide narrative. Those who knew Nichol describe her as a devoted mother with plans for a positive future for herself and her daughters, contradicting the idea that she would take such a horrific course of action. Nichol's brother, Justin Olsen, firmly denied any possibility that she would harm her children, emphasizing that she had aspirations and plans inconsistent with suicidal ideation. Legal representatives for the families of the children have since filed civil lawsuits against Charles Wheeler, accusing him of negligence and failing to secure firearms in the home, despite Nichol's known emotional struggles. The man identified as a person of interest early in the investigation, Charles Wheeler, has denied involvement in the deaths and maintains his innocence. The sheriff's office and FBI continue to investigate the case, leaving it officially open despite years passing since the tragedy. The final hours of Nichol Olsen's life, as pieced together from phone and digital records, paint a picture of urgency, distress, and unanswered cries for help. On the night of January 9th, 2019, beginning at 11:09 p.m., Olsen attempted to contact her boyfriend's mother, but the call went unanswered. What followed was even more alarming: 4 separate calls to 911, only one of which successfully connected with dispatchers. This sequence of events strongly indicates that Olsen was in a state of panic and possibly fearing for her life. Yet her pleas failed to bring timely intervention. The unanswered calls raised troubling questions. Beyond the events of that night, records from just days earlier suggest Olsen was looking toward the future. On December 31st, 2018, she sent an email inquiring about housing options, expressing interest in relocating and providing her daughters with a new start. Such actions reflected hope, stability, and planning. characteristics inconsistent with suicidal behavior. Taken together, the timeline presents a haunting contrast: frantic emergency calls on one night and forward-looking plans in the days before. This mixture of fear and optimism leaves investigators, family members, and the public torn between the official ruling and the possibility of another darker truth behind the Onaqua Springs tragedy. The unanswered 911 calls, in particular, remain one of the most haunting and critical pieces of the case. The tragic deaths have left deep scars on the community and the families involved. Funeral services for Nichol and her daughters were held at a Place for Life church, attended by many mourning the devastating loss. As legal battles persist, family members grapple with grief compounded by unresolved questions and perceived justice delays. Public campaigns and vigils sought to raise awareness and demand thorough investigations into the deaths. While the official ruling labeled the tragedy as a murder-suicide, Salazar has been careful not to close the door on other possibilities. His stance highlights the complexities of such investigations, where families demand justice and clarity, while law enforcement must balance evidence with public scrutiny. To ensure no angle is overlooked, new investigators with experience in cold cases were assigned to re-evaluate the evidence and re-examine witness statements. In addition to local authorities, federal agencies such as the FBI joined the inquiry, providing technical expertise and advanced resources in hopes of shedding new light on what happened inside the Onaqua Springs mansion. Private investigators hired by the families of the victims also contributed their own findings, though these efforts have not been enough to challenge the original conclusion set by the medical examiner. Despite widespread speculation and numerous theories shared in public forums, no breakthrough evidence has surfaced to alter the official narrative. The sheriff has made it clear that he will not allow outside pressure or public opinion to dictate the outcome of the investigation. His repeated statements emphasize patience, caution, and respect for the victims, underscoring that a hasty or poorly supported conclusion would do a disservice to everyone affected. For the families and the community, this cautious approach has been both reassuring and frustrating. Reassuring because the case is not ignored, but frustrating because closure remains elusive. Years later, the file is technically still open, a reminder that even in high-profile cases, justice and truth can take an agonizingly long time to surface. The deceased children's fathers and family members have pursued civil actions against Charles Wheeler, holding him responsible for negligence, especially for reportedly leaving unsecured firearms in the house. Despite knowing Nichols's emotional state and history, these lawsuits aim to secure financial and legal accountability for the loss of innocent lives and have injected additional complexity into an already anguished situation. 5 years after the tragedy, many questions about that night on Onaqua Springs Road remain unanswered. Was this truly a murder-suicide, or was there another perpetrator involved? How did emergency services respond to Nichol's multiple calls to 911? What role, if any, did relationships, rivalries, or past conflicts play in the deaths? These unresolved issues keep the case alive in the public mind, providing a haunting reminder of the fragility of life and the intricate mysteries that sometimes disrupt it violently. The heartbreaking deaths of Nichol Olsen and her 2 daughters left behind a cloud of sorrow and suspicion that still lingers years later. Thank you for watching this video on the tragic case of Nichol Olsen and her 2 daughters. We hope the detailed coverage gave you a deeper understanding of this heartbreaking mystery. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update from our series exploring such haunting cases. We look forward to seeing you next time. So stay connected and stay curious as we continue uncovering stories that still demand truth and justice.